Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to the live stream. This is going to be a good one today. We're going to go over like a complete intermittent fasting guide, how to like rapidly lose weight, and then how to like maintain the weight loss and keep it off. This is really good if you are looking to lose a lot of weight and you want to like aggressively jump into intermittent fasting or time restricted eating. And let's say you lose the weight. People ask me these questions all the time. They're so afraid to stop doing what's working. So in this live stream, we're going to like just map out a whole program where you can like ease your way out of an aggressive fasting strategy and maintain the weight loss. It should be a lot of fun. It's when I just had my phone on really loud there, so like sometimes I'm looking at the comments. I feel bad. Last live stream, when I went back to watch it, there was a lot of people asking questions like on Facebook and different platforms that I didn't see the questions come up. So I'm going to look on my phone today to make sure I don't see any questions. But let's see, I think Rosie's here from New York. Oh, good morning, Rosie. Great to see you. I have to say, guys and gals, it's been insanely cold in New York. I don't know if you're from the Northeast. I know some people in the room are from the Northeast. I had one of the most challenging walks in my entire life 2 days ago. Like I typically walk, you guys know me, I walk along the Hudson River most days. And on that day it was about 14 degrees straight up with like 25 mile an hour winds, and I wasn't properly dressed. I should have turned around because I literally walked 30 minutes, insane wind and cold, and I didn't have my phone with me. I almost felt like I couldn't make it, but I luckily made it back to the car. I typically do 2 laps, but I only did 1 lap, but it was like 25 mile an hour winds, maybe 10 degrees below zero with wind chill. Really challenging walk that I had there, but I'm glad that I made it. Hey everybody, hey, thanks for showing up. We got people from all over the world, which I absolutely love. The Netherlands, right? I know, but this guy, he's a wonderful guy. He follows all my content. I'm always talking to him with comments on working out. I know he's been fooling around with the kettlebells lately. Pamela, oh, thanks for showing up from London. Oh, thanks for showing up, Pamela. I really appreciate it. And we got Deborah here too. Hey, Deborah, how you doing? Good morning from Florida. This should be a fun one. Thanks a lot. I know, but for some people who show up every single week, some of the stuff we're talking about today might be a little bit of a review, but it's still always good to review this stuff. I'm actually even gonna start this. You'll see. Just kind of explaining what intermittent fasting is. I know it may be a little bit of a review for people who show up every single week, but let's jump right into it. Obviously, ask all your questions, whatever you need. This is not the right slide. Let me go to slide number 1, because this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. I don't know if you guys noticed too. I'm actually wearing contacts today. I hope they don't fall out. I just got contacts. So, but I think it's really going to help me now. Now I don't have to keep the light this high. I don't have like glare in my glasses, so it should be a lot of fun. So this is what we're going to talk about today: intermittent fasting guide for rapid weight loss and maintenance. So we're going to go over 3 different intermittent fasting strategies. One is going to be alternate day fasting, which in my opinion, that's going to be the most aggressive one. Then we're going to talk about 5-2 intermittent fasting, which is still pretty aggressive, but definitely less. And then we'll talk about how to do the 1 meal a day diet, the OMAD diet, 1 day per week, to still keep your calories in line and to maintain all the weight loss that you've achieved from actually practicing the other 2 strategies. And this particular slide, I'll talk about this later. I wanted this slide to be in the alternate day fasting. Let me see if it's there. Okay, so for some reason, I hope the whole thing went. It's not a big deal. I'll be able to fix everything. But see, these slides were supposed to be in every single section. So let me just import one of these slides, because I don't want to throw myself off. I'm going to copy this, and then in number 5, I'm actually going to paste it, and then I'm going to pull in this study, because this is such a cool study. This is a study talking about how alternate day fasting, I'm going to explain exactly what that is, may even work better than calorie restriction, which is really, really cool. Okay, but let's get this thing going. I'm going to remove that. Take that out. Sorry for the a little bit of a mix up there. Once again, I'm using that different software today too. I'm using this eCam Live, and they changed the whole interface, so everything is different. But hopefully it's going out. Also, if you're enjoying this, and this sounds good, give me a thumbs up. Also, share it with anyone you think it might find it really helpful today. Anyone who wants to lose some weight or wants to learn about intermittent fasting, give them a quick share. Hopefully they'll get something out of this. Okay, so, and then I also want to do a little review, like I said, about what is intermittent fasting and why does it work. Okay, so let's first do that first. Okay, so what is intermittent fasting? I know if you follow me every single week, you know what it is, but all it means is that you're cycling between a pattern of eating and not eating, right? For example, you go to sleep at night, as long as you don't wake up in the middle of the night and like grab a cookie like so many people do, and you're sleeping, say you sleep for 8 hours, you've been fasting 8 hours, that's somewhat of an intermittent fast, or maybe a time-restricted eating. And if you don't know the difference, intermittent fasting means that you do these strategies intermittently, not every day. If you did something like a fast, say you're fasting for 14 hours every day, that would be called time-restricted eating. So that's what all intermittent fasting means, is that you're cycling between eating and not eating. That's why breakfast is called breaking fast, right? Let's see, we got Vitalia. Hey, Mike, how you doing? I fast every day, 16/8, and I do a 24-hour fast once a week every Sunday. I've had excellent results. I love that strategy. I think it's great. So, for example, the fact that Vitalia is doing this every single day, I would call that time-restricted eating. If he was doing like a 16/8 intermittently, say once or twice, 3 times per week, that would be intermittent fasting, just so you know the difference. Okay. And I just want to just talk about, these are all the different types of intermittent fasting and time-restricted eating strategies that you can possibly use. And I've experimented with them all. I've done so many different ones of them. In my opinion, just a 12 to 14-hour fast is fasting. Most people don't do that. Most people are consistently eating. They barely get 8 hours with no food in their system, not even less than that. So 16/8, 18/6, that's probably the most popular, where you fast for 16 hours, taking all your calories within an 8-hour eating window. I also love 18/6, 2 more hours in a fasted state, fast for 18 hours, taking all your calories within a 6-hour eating window. Then there's 24, which is even a little bit more aggressive. You fast for 20 hours, then you take in all your calories within a 4-hour eating window. And something to keep in mind, and it could be a little counterintuitive, the longer you're in a fast, like when you do, say, a 12-hour fast, and then maybe you do a 20-hour fast, most people might think that when they fast for 20 hours that they're going to gorge themselves and just eat an insane amount of food within a 4-hour eating window. But the research hasn't shown that, plus my own personal experience hasn't shown that either. When you give someone a shorter eating window, they're just going to consume less calories, which is great. Then there's the 1 meal a day diet, the OMAD diet. That's typically done where you fast for 23 hours, then taking all your calories within a 1-hour eating window. Obviously even more aggressive. You can do it intermittently. You can do it every day as time-restricted eating. Then there's obviously a 24-hour fast, which is a fun thing to do. That's what 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃 does every Sunday, which is really nice. Then there's the alternate day fasting, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, which is pretty aggressive. That's when you pretty much eat every other day. But an alternate day fast is really more like a 36-hour fast. So, for example, say you stop eating Sunday 8 p.m., right? The next day would be Monday 8 p.m., and then you don't eat until the next morning. You know what I mean? So you have that additional 12 hours. So it's really like a 36-hour fast. And then there's the 5-2 fast, and that's the other one we're going to talk about today, where you eat normally for 5 days, then 2 days out of the week you do a fast. And then there's extended fasting, which I don't talk about too much, where you fast for 48 hours or more. I personally have done a 3-day fast a few times. I'm not that fond of it. I personally like these other strategies a lot more. Hey, Carol Jean, thanks for showing up. Really cool. And Jeff is here. Hey, good morning, Jeff. Mike, I'm fasting until late afternoon today. Only 1 meal today. Ooh, sounds good. OMAD day on Sundays. That's pretty much what I do. I do the OMAD diet on Sundays. And then you guys know I've been doing the early time-restricted eating during the week, which I really do love. Okay, let's just go over this. Once again, a little bit of review, but I got some pictures here to maybe help everyone understand a little bit better. Like, why does fasting work? I mean, the main thing is that when you're in a fasted state, what are you doing? You're dipping into stored energy, right? Stored carbohydrates that are stored in the muscles. That's why I have this little picture here. I don't know if you can see this potato. What happens is that when you eat food, say you have a meal, you had a potato, an apple, and a donut. Horrible meal, right? But let's say you ate that. What happens is the body produces insulin. The pancreas releases insulin, right, to store away those excess calories. Carbohydrates go in the muscles and the liver in the form of glycogen. That's why I have this little diagram here. That's the muscle, that's the liver. And fat goes into fat cells, right? Protein hopefully is used for protein synthesis, like to build your muscle, connective tissue, like to rebuild your body. But when you're in a fasted state, what are you doing? you're dipping into these energy stores, right? You're burning those stores, the stored carbohydrates that are in your muscle. You're burning the carbs that are in your liver, right? You're burning fat from fat cells. So fasting is just an incredible way to first reduce calories, because you're just going to be eating less. Obviously, when you're fasting, you're not eating. I think it's the easiest way. That's why I have the note on the bottom of this slide. Easiest way to reduce calories. You know, it's been frustrating. The most frustrating part of my job, I talked about this in the past, is I can always get people to work out well when they come to the gym, when I'm working with them. But when they leave the gym, to get people to eat healthy, or just to get people to eat less and restrict calories, it's such a difficult thing. Out of all the things I've tried over the last 30, 35 years, nothing, in my opinion, has worked better for me, my clients, than all these different types of intermittent fasting strategies, just to get people to eat less. And you need to be in a calorie deficit pretty much to lose some weight. Let's see what 𝘾𝙾𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂 got to say here. I'm doing a 36-hour for an infection in my ear. It helps. Oh, well, that's amazing. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I was going to put another slide on this, on like some of the health benefits, like autophagy. A lot of people feel that when you're fasting for extended periods of time, similar to maybe what 𝘾𝙾𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂 is doing now, the body like repairs itself, like weakened, damaged organelles, like it recycles. So it almost like your body goes into like recovery mode when you're in a fasted state. Autophagy is somewhat of a never-ending process, but it can be upregulated from fasting, from exercise, things like that. So there are definitely, even though I focus a lot about how amazing fasting is to reduce calories, there really are some good health benefits. Like the next section here, like it lowers insulin, which when you have lower insulin in your body, you become more insulin sensitive, which has so many great benefits. You know, it keeps the metabolism working properly. You know, it's interesting. I just released a short video today, just a little short video. When I studied that, I just came across saying that people, like, they did this study on men who had metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome means that they were overweight probably for decades, or at least a decade or longer. They were insulin resistant, meaning that whenever they would eat a meal, instead of storing away those carbohydrates like in the muscle and the liver and even fat and fat cells, their blood sugar was elevated, right? They were insulin resistant. Insulin wasn't working properly, which was leading to multiple problems. And one problem was erectile dysfunction, along with low levels of testosterone. So this study showed that people, those men who had metabolic syndrome, who switched over to a low carbohydrate diet, actually had a stronger erections and a real spike in testosterone. Really interesting. So there are so many benefits besides just restricting calories, in my opinion, when it comes to fasting, like lower insulin levels, better like lifelong blood sugar control, and an increase in insulin sensitivity, which is really great. Because these are all the benefits. Plus, it can even put you in like mild state of ketosis. If you're eating like a moderate carb diet and you do some of these fasting strategies, you can dip into ketosis. And ketosis just means that the liver has very little carbohydrates in it, and then the liver converts body fat into ketone bodies, so you burn those, in addition to like the fats and the carbohydrates. And people love it. I mean, I used to dip in and out of ketosis a lot. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I think it's a cool thing. Another good benefit of fasting. Let's see what we got here. Okay. How old are you? I'm actually 80 years old. No, I'm not 80. I'm 60 years old. It's funny. I know I had 80 pop in my head. I just lost my brain for a second. I'm 60. I just turned 60 in August, actually. Mary, I'm new and not sure what to do. Okay, we'll go over that. So Mary, if you're new, this might be somewhat aggressive for you, what we're going to talk about today. I'm not sure how much weight you want to lose, but this is somewhat of an aggressive approach. That's what like the kind of theme of this. We're going to be talking about alternate day fasting, which is aggressive. 5-2, maybe that's something you might want to do. But if you're brand new, I would really ease into it. I would literally first for a week or so just do a 12 to 14 hour fast. I always like to say there's another great study that showed that people who just delayed breakfast for 90 minutes, that means you wake up, say you typically ate at 8 in the morning, wait 90 minutes. Don't eat until 9:30. And then if you typically eat dinner at night at, say, 8 o'clock, eat dinner 90 minutes earlier. Eat dinner at like 6:30. Do that for a week or two. I think 63% of the people who did that, consume less calories. Do that for a week. Then you might want to be a little bit more aggressive. Go with I love just the 16-8, where you fast for 16 hours, taking all your calories within an 8-hour eating window. Do that for a week or two. Then you got two other options. Then you can either start improving your diet, like switch over to more my style, my recommended style of eating, which is like, eat an adequate amount of protein. We're going to talk about that today, taking in a lot of fiber, eating a whole natural food diet. Still stay with the 16-8, see how you're doing there, and then you may want to get more aggressive. Then you may want to fool around with 18-6, with OMAD, with 1 meal a day. But the key is to start off easy and not shock yourself. I even have, not you want to buy a course, but if you're brand new, I do have a course that really eases you into it. I sell it for like $97. There might be a link below this. There may not be. I'm not sure. You can even check that out too. But ask as many questions as you like. Okay. I got an antibiotic resistance. Okay. This is 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂. I get antibiotic resistance because if all the antibiotics I've taken in my life, I've had 8 surgeries on my ears. I'm sorry about that, 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃. I know it's really common, young kids who constantly get those ear infections and they go on like cycle after cycle after cycle of antibiotics. Unfortunately, it really is not a great thing. Oh, you look great for 60. Oh, thanks. Thanks. I really appreciate it. I've been working out from the age of 13. Literally, I don't think I've ever missed more than like 2-3 weeks of working out. I think that's the key too. And obviously, I eat pretty good and I do all this fasting type stuff. But I think longevity, besides working out, I have a high VO2 max. I have a good amount of muscle mass on my body, which I think that keeps you young too. Great for longevity. Okay, Mary, you have to lose 25 pounds. It's really up to you. I mean, listen to this whole presentation. If you really want to go for it, if you have to lose 25 pounds, you probably can do the alternate day fasting 5-2 and then ease out with OMAD. If you really want to go for it, you can do it. Make a decision. You'll see. Okay, sounds good. Here we go. 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂. Okay. Fasting helps cortisol. Cortisol, if anyone doesn't know, is the stress hormone, right? Cortisol levels, when you have an infection, you're fighting and tend to hold on to fluids and joints and such. I think the fasting is great for all that. I totally agree with you. Okay, so now we know all the different types of intermittent fasting strategies you can possibly try. We know why fasting works. You're reducing calories, you're increasing your insulin sensitivity, you're just making your metabolism work better and more correctly. Maybe you're upregulating autophagy a little bit, like 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉 is doing. Fasting helps gut health after antibiotics. I totally agree too. Okay, so let's go over the most aggressive, one of the most aggressive strategies for intermittent fasting. So say Mary decides she wants to do this. She wants to lose 25 pounds. She's really motivated. She doesn't want to start off easy. She just wants to jump into this and just lose this weight as quickly as possible. As opposed to doing like a 3-day fast, which I think would be crazy to do at first. This is a pretty aggressive strategy. This is alternate day fasting, ADF. That's the abbreviation for it. It creates a big calorie deficit, in my opinion, because you eat every other day. So what you do is you fast for 36 hours, right? But you can eat. This is the interesting thing. There's 2 ways of doing alternate day fasting, and there are studies on both. You can do the more conservative way, which will still put you in a great calorie deficit where, for example, you fast for that 36 hours. So you don't eat for 1 day. You go to sleep. You wake up the next day. You can eat 25% of your normal calories, which helps a lot. So during that 36-hour fasting period, you are allowed to take in just a little bit of food. I prefer you do it in one meal, but some people like to just spread it out, just have a couple of 100 calories here and there just to help them out with that 36-hour fast. Or I like to just tell people, if you've been eating like a ton of food, 25% might be kind of high. Just if you're a woman, I would say eat 500 calories. If you're a guy, like a bigger guy, eat about 700 calories. And then you eat normally. That's the cool thing about alternate day fasting. You don't have to jump into like a dramatic change in your diet. You eat normally for 1 day, and then the next day, you're pretty much only taking 500 to 700 calories. And you don't have to crazy change your diet, but it's going to put you in a really good calorie deficit. You're going to start losing weight like quickly, for sure. And you do want to obviously stay really well hydrated. This is a big point, Mary. Drink a ton of water. I always lean towards mineral water because it has some minerals in it. It has the magnesium, gives a little bit of sodium, things like that. Some people like to take a pinch of salt, that real mint, that Utah salt that's high in minerals. Some people like to put a pinch of salt in their water. You do want to keep your electrolytes up. You do want to stay properly hydrated. You can drink no-calorie liquids like, black coffee, green tea. As you can see, now I'm still fasting. I'm drinking a little espresso. Ever since I went to Italy, I'm so hooked on this espresso. And it does help a lot just taking in that 500 to 700 calories. But there's also like a stricter way of doing it where you literally don't. You just straight up no calories for 36 hours. And I have read some studies on that has shown that it dramatically can improve blood pressure, improve triglycerides and things like that. You'll still get tremendous benefit though, even taking in 25% of your calories, in my opinion, for sure too. Okay, that's what 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂 says. Oh, so you don't skip a whole day of eating every other day. Well, yes, a little bit more than every other day. Like for example, see down below, say you started your fast Sunday night at 8 o'clock, right? So the next day would be Monday, 8 o'clock. That's 24 hours, no food. But then you go to sleep, right? Then you wake, not that you go to sleep at 8 o'clock. Let's say you go to sleep at 10, and then you wake up 8 o'clock, and then you eat. That's 36 hours. I know it could be a little confusing. I also do think, though, like if you just did 8 every other day, like every 24 hours, that would almost be like an OMAD, where you're eating 1 meal a day. You know what I mean? Like you're waiting. Obviously, if you keep on adding an hour, it extends. But really, a traditional like alternate day fasting is a 36-hour fast, and then you have a 12-hour eating window the next day. But it's really like eating every other day. People kind of don't think about that when they go to sleep at night. But like if you do, you can do it strict and take in no calories, or you can take in 500 to 700 calories. If you want to do a Mary and you want to start out and jump into it, definitely do the one where you're eating 500 to 700 calories during that 36-hour fast. I would prioritize protein too if you can too, which I think is really important. And this is kind of a cool thing. I even made a big slide. This is a slide that I kind of lost. Let's go to number 5 here. Number 5. This was a cool one. This particular study came out in 2020. And it was a meta-analysis. A meta-analysis just means that like the researchers looked at multiple different studies to make a conclusion about, say, alternate day fasting. And what they did say is that for the first time, this meta-analysis suggested that alternate day fasting is potentially superior to daily calorie restriction in normal weighted and overweight subjects, which is really incredible. Most researchers and studies don't really say things like that. Everyone believes, and I do think calorie restriction can work just as well or close to as well as these intermittent fasting strategies. I just find that when it comes to calorie restriction, most people just aren't compliant when they're constantly looking up and counting calories. They'll do it for a shorter period of time, and then they just can't do it. They get tired of doing it. But by giving yourself these smaller eating windows, you just automatically eat less. I mean, if you do intermittent fasting, like sometimes I'm a little neurotic with calorie counting, then you just kill it. Then you just do incredibly well. But I bet I'm glad that this meta-analysis was done, which is really great. So that's what 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂 said. So I fasted all day yesterday. Should I eat this morning, or can I just eat at 2? Now, you can wait to 2. 𝘾𝙊𝑼𝘾𝙃, I think you're pretty experienced. I mean, how many hours have you been fasting? If it's close to 36, I would say that's pretty much classic alternate day fasting. But anything over 24, I think is great too. I mean, especially, I think you're doing it not necessarily to lose weight, or that you're doing it for this ear infection. So, I mean, feel out. If you feel good, stay hydrated. I think you can wait till 2 o'clock if you feel good. I just wanted to bring that up. I don't want to go too deep into the studies, because whenever I start talking about studies, I see the everyone leaves. So let's go to the next one. Okay, so let's say you've done this alternate day fasting, right? You've done it for, say, 2 months. You lost 20 pounds. And you're saying, you still want to use, let's say Mary does it in 2 months. She loses like 20 pounds. She's really happy. She wants to lose about 5 pounds more. But she's saying to herself, it's really, really hard to do this alternate day fasting. I want to try something that I'm still going to lose weight with. I want to keep the weight loss going. But I want to, enjoy my life a little bit more. Because I do think the alternate day fasting is a good short-term strategy. I don't think it's something you should do long-term for multiple reasons. One reason is you're probably not taking in enough protein. I'm such a protein guy. My formula for protein is 0.7 grams times body weight. And it's hard to get that when you're only eating every other day. Plus the vitamins and minerals, the nutrients, you run into trouble. You may not be getting enough potassium, magnesium, and really not getting in enough fiber when you're only eating every other day. So alternate day fasting to me is a good intermittent strategy if you just want to do it intermittently, or if you want to do it every day like this, you do it for a month or 2, you lose your weight, and then you go to something else, like for long term. So what I think is a nice progression from alternate day fasting is to switch over to a 5-2 diet, which is similar to alternate day fasting, but you only do it 2 days per week instead of doing it every other day. So the 5-2 diet just means that, and obviously, like I made a little note, less aggressive. You eat normally for 5 days, right? And then 2 days out of the week, you do the same thing as the alternate day fasting. You take in only about 25% of your normal calories. So for example, if you're typically eating 2,500 calories a day, you take 625, which is so similar to what I just talked about with alternate day fasting. I like to say the same thing if you're a woman. You're taking about 500-600 calories. If you're a guy, about 700, maybe 800 calories. So what you're doing is like 5 days a week, you're eating normal, but then 2 days per week, you're just doing 2 very low calorie days, right? And if you can do those low calorie days with just 1 meal, I would prefer that, or maybe just 2, just to minimize those insulin spikes, just to keep you in a fasted state for a longer period of time. This maps it out a little bit better. Why I like the 5-2 diet. I've had clients. It's interesting because there's a particular. I just did a video about this celebrity client that I trained during the pandemic. I can't say who it is. Who I put them on this particular, plan just like this, like alternate day, and then we switched over to like an OMAD. That's what like sparked me to do this presentation today. So this is one of the reasons why I like the 5-2 diet so much. It gives you a lot of flexibility. Like say you like to go out, say Mary likes to go out with her girlfriends like twice a week, and she knows you're gonna have a couple of drinks and maybe like maybe eat a little bit. She has the flexibility more with this 5-2 diet, and your schedule, like when you can fit in these 2 days where you're gonna be dramatically restricting calories. I think Monday's always a great day, just a busy day. If you're working, you go to work. Monday's the start of the week, or if you got kids, you're getting them to school the first day, all that. I like the 5-2 diet. It gives you a lot of flexibility. You still can eat normally 5 days a week, and you will definitely still be, in my opinion, most likely in a pretty good calorie deficit, but not as aggressive as the alternate day diet. It's really good. It's a good way to ease out of that alternate day fasting, the 5-2 diet. I like the 5-2 diet a lot. I've had a lot of clients who just straight up. This is another good place where you can start, Mary. If you don't want to be as aggressive as the alternate day fasting, you can start with something like this. Start with a 5-2. You eat normally 5 days, then 2 days out of the week, you do 2 low calorie days. Eat like 500-600 calories, and you can use MyFitnessPal. That's the one I always recommend. That's that app on your phone. It's free. It's so easy to use. Once you get used to it, once you enter your foods, it stays there as like a database. There's a scanner on it where you can scan the food. It's so easy to do. It's the first week or two, it could be a little annoying, but once you get all your food in there, like all my food's in there because I eat a lot of the same foods over and over again. I can calculate everything like so easily. Let's see what Jeff's got to say. As someone who has done cycles of modified alternate day fasting quite a bit in the last few years, I can offer the tip that soup and salad combos are your friend. You can fill up for very few calories. That's really good. I like that, Jeff. That's a good suggestion. So Jeff's saying on the days, so he did modified, meaning that he probably was eating maybe 700 calories during that 36-hour fast. And Jeff is suggesting that you can get a lot of like bang for your buck, which I really like, eating like soup and salad for those like 500-700 calories, which is great. I would love like a chicken soup to me where if it had a little protein in there or some beans, I think that would be even better. I think that's a great suggestion, Jeff. Really, really good. You'd be surprised. I like soup for multiple reasons. I should have suggested this to Gwen when she asked, Gwen, who shows up all the time, she said that sometimes she has issues with eating quickly. Soup is another great thing. See, I like foods that do take you time to eat. So soup is such a great food because how quickly can you eat a hot bowl of soup, right? It takes time. It can take you 20 minutes to go through a bowl of soup. That's why I just did another short video. I didn't release it yet on one of my favorite snacks. I like to sometimes after a meal, I like to have shelled nuts, like nuts in their shells. It also reminds me of my grandfather because when I was a kid, me and him would always crack nuts. I had this thing where I would try to crack a walnut and take it out perfectly without the nut breaking at all. It looks like a brain, the walnut, it's so cool. So like when you're cracking nuts, nuts are great for you, high in fiber, high in healthy fat, some, decent amount of protein. But if you're buying the nuts that are already in the bags and you're eating like salted nuts, you can eat a bag of nuts, 1,000 calories, like nothing. But if you're cracking the nuts, it slows you down. So I like to take, a handful of mixed nuts in a bowl after I eat, dinner or sometimes even lunch. Take 15, 20 minutes, crack, slowly eat some nuts. That's why I like the soup so much too, which I think is great. Great suggestion, Jeff. Thanks a lot. Hey, Harriet is here. Fantastic. Looking good, Harriet. Thanks for showing up. That's great. All right. So, okay, let's go to stage 3 of this presentation now. We're going to go into the OMAD. So let's say everything's going great, right? You wanted to lose 25, 30 pounds. First you said, I'm going to jump into this. I'm really motivated. I'm going to do the alternate day fasting. You do that for 2 months. Say you lose 20 pounds, right? Then you want to do something a little less extreme, but still lose another 5 pounds. So then you switch over to a 5-2 diet, and you do that for maybe a month, month and a half. You lose another 5 pounds. So you're doing great. So you're pretty much, say, at your goal weight. And this is where I get a lot of questions. This is where a lot of people start panicking and say, oh my God, I did it. I'm at my goal weight. I've always gained the weight back in the past. Like, what can I do now to maintain the weight loss? Like, still keep my calories in line, but I want to start, eating and going out and doing some things. That's when this 1 meal a day, the OMAD diet, I think can be a great option for you. Oh, Wendy's here. Hey, I'm here. That's great. I love soup. Oh, that's cool. Nice, Gwen. Thanks for showing up. You show up every week. I really appreciate it. Okay, so this is where like the 1 meal a day, that's what OMAD stands for, the 1 meal a day diet, comes into play. So what you do is really simple. Like, this is what I'm doing today. I think Patel is doing it today too, is that, we're going to fast for 23 hours today. And then we're going to take in all our calories within a 1 hour eating window, have one big meal. I like to prioritize protein. I'm even going to show you a picture of a meal I had. That meal I had with the 1 meal a day. Let me pull it up now because it'll be kind of fun, because I think it's on the bottom. But see this right here? Let me change this. This is how I actually broke my OMAD diet. I think I did this last Sunday. This is my homemade buffalo chili. I love this. I always prioritize protein. There must be, I think I literally had 2 bowls of this buffalo chili. I may even did a short video on this. This is made with bison, like a lean buffalo. There's a ton of green peppers and onions. And I always like to prioritize protein, fiber, right, and some antioxidants. So I also throw in an avocado. Avocados are loaded with potassium, loaded with fiber. And it's kind of fun. It's an interesting combination. And if you never tried it, I think you will love it. I put blueberries in, in the space where we moved the pit. Blueberries and avocados. It's such a good combination. It seems counterintuitive, but you're going to love it. Give it a try. So this is what I mean by like a nice OMAD meal that I think is just ideal. Let's see. Oh, Gene. Oh, hey, Gene. Hey, thanks for once again. Gene always gives me a super chat every Sunday. I really appreciate it. Let's see what Gene's got. Okay. The 5-2 diet sounds pretty good to me as the discipline of 1 day very low calorie diet is easy for me at this point. I think it sounds good. No, I like the 5-2 diet, Gene. It really is. And just in your case, I know we discussed it a little bit. Just don't go too low with the calories. Just don't go too low. But I think it's great. I love the 5-2 diet. Let me make sure, because sometimes I have trouble reading these comments and getting the point completely right. Let me just make sure I got it right. The 5-2 diet sounds pretty good to me as the discipline of a 1 day very low calorie diet is easy for me. No, okay, easy for me at this point. That I do like, right? So for example, like 1 day you go very, very low calories. Or if you do the 5-2, you do it twice a week, go extremely low. But then 5 days a week, you get to eat up your calories to like a normal maintenance range. I do like that a lot, Gene, as opposed to doing that very low calorie diet that you were doing in the past every day and torturing yourself for like weeks. I do like that a lot for you. 2 days a week, you do that very low calorie diet. Make sure that what you're eating on those low calorie days is protein based. Like maybe you'd have just like one bowl of that chili and like half an avocado, something like that. Well, I do like that for you, Gene. That's great. Hey, Chris is here. Oh, thanks, Chris. How you doing? Your buffalo chili is really delicious. Well, yeah, I think Chris made that buffalo chili. Oh, that's really cool. I'm not, even though I do eat a lot of animal protein, I know there are people, I do keep an eye on the cuts of meat. Like, I don't buy those fatty cuts of meat. I want to keep calories under control. And I don't even take in that much saturated fat. I really don't. Most of the fat in my diet, like if at the end of this, we're going to go over, I'll give you some more meal suggestions, my real style of eating. But most of my calories probably do come from fat. But I don't add fat. Like, I don't eat bacon, and I don't eat brisket and fatty cuts of meat. I eat lean meats. You know, I do eat healthy fats from like salmon or sardines. I eat a lot of fat from avocado, monounsaturated fat. I don't put butter in my coffee. I don't even really use butter, very sparingly. I do use a good amount of extra virgin olive oil. So most of the fat in my diet comes from the whole natural food I'm eating. It's not like I'm not trying to get most of my calories from fat. And then I eat a relatively high protein diet and a moderate carbohydrate diet. That's my style of eating. High in protein, high in fiber, right? And just, I let the macros fall into place from the whole natural foods I'm eating. Okay, so for example, maintenance. Okay, so just to repeat myself, you lost 20 pounds doing alternate day fasting for 2 months. You lost another 5 pounds, say doing 5-2 for maybe 4-6 weeks. Now you're afraid, you're at your ideal weight. Now you're afraid you're going to gain all the weight back. So you still want to keep calories in line, and you want to kind of enjoy yourself. So you can eat normally 6 days a week. And actually, I even have a slide after this on what I mean by eating normally. It's not like binge eating and killing it. You know, it's still normal eating. And then you're going to, like, 1 day a week, say on a Sunday. I think Sunday is a great day for the OMAD diet. You fast for 23 hours. You eat one nice meal within a 1 hour eating window. And that's going to keep you, in my opinion, in somewhat maintenance calories for the week. Just that one low calorie day. Just think, if you're typically eating 25, 28, maybe even 3,000 calories, and then one day you only eat, 1,000, 1,200, you're in a 2,000 calorie deficit for the week. It's a good way to maintain your weight loss. And you could even maybe do the OMAD twice a week if you feel like the weight starts creeping up. I think it's a real easy way to do it. Some people just like to stay on 5-2 as well. I think 5-2 is more of a long-term strategy, because 5 days a week, you're taking in good protein, you're taking in good nutrition, potassium, magnesium, you're getting all your stuff, getting all your fiber. And then 2 days a week, you're just going to go really low. I think that's also a good long-term strategy as well. Am I missing any comments here? Let me check the phone. Okay, cool. Okay, but let's quickly, I don't want to also make it sound like this is a guaranteed win, like it's definitely going to work if you're like on those days. Like, okay, maybe I should have addressed this a little bit. The reason why people like alternate day fasting so much, and 5-2 so much, and OMAD so much, is that a lot of people do it and literally eat anything they want. Like, they stay with their junk food, they stay with their garbage diet, but they still go in a calorie deficit, because you're just, you're giving yourself such a small eating window all the time that you're going to lose weight that way. But in my opinion, if you do it that way, I think you're still going to lose a good amount of weight. But your body makeup will be differently. There were like pair studies done where they take people who like eat the exact same amount of calories, right? But one group eats like a healthy diet. They'll eat like a higher protein, fiber, really nutritious. And the other people will just eat garbage calories. But both are in a calorie deficit, both groups. They both might lose the same amount of weight. That's why calories are so important. Calories really do count. But the group that ate the good quality protein and the fiber and the fruits and the vegetables, their body makeup, like they maintained more muscle mass when they lost weight. They were just healthier, even though they may be the same weight. So you can do everything I just spoke about, all these 3 strategies, still eating like not that healthy. And I think you're still going to lose a good amount of weight. But if your normal eating is just generally healthier, you're going to just kill it, and you're going to do so much better. And this is what I mean by normal eating. Like, you want to eat a good amount of protein all the time. My formula is 0.7 times your body weight. We'll keep it really simple. If you're 100 pounds, we're just making it up. It would be like 70 grams of protein, right? A more sophisticated way of doing that is if you know your body fat. Like, if you know what your body fat is, which is hard to figure out what your body fat is, you can go, I like to go with 0.9 times your lean mass. And I always give this example because it's in my head. If you're 150 pounds, 20% body fat, that means you're 120 lean mass, times that by 0.9. I think that's 105 grams of protein a day. Like, I try to eat 150 grams of protein every day. You want to keep protein up. Out of all the 3 macronutrients, protein, fats, and carbs, protein to me is definitely the most important. First of all, it's the most satisfying. You eat a steak, you eat or you have that bowl of chili, you're going to be satisfied for hours, right? Plus, there's the thermic effect of protein. The thermic effect means that the body generates heat, digesting and processing the protein. So when you eat, 500 calories of protein, you're going to burn up 20-30% of those calories just digesting and processing the protein. That's also what gets a little confusing with those pair studies when they compare people eating the same amount of calories, but one group is eating high protein. They're probably getting a higher thermic effect too, which is true. Chris, hey, Chris always give me super chats too. Thanks, Chris, I appreciate it. $9.99, wonderful, thanks. Okay, this is Chris. I need to lose 23 more pounds. I think I will try the 36-hour alternate day. I like that for you, Chris. I know you're really disciplined. Chris even does like a 60-hour fast, like once a month or so. I'm going to do the gym every day now. Should my workouts be the same on the days I do not need? I don't think so, Chris. Okay, last week I really enjoyed last week's live stream. If you guys, all these live streams are listed. They're not on the top of my YouTube channel, but if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see all the live streams. Last week we did a case study on Chris. He's done incredibly well. Reversed type 2 diabetes, lost like close to 40 pounds in like no time. He didn't follow my program initially. He was working with another guy online, a great guy, Jeff. I forget Jeff's last name. He did incredibly well. But now he wants to start working out. See, I probably wouldn't, Chris. On the days that you're doing that 36-hour fast, I really would probably just do easy aerobics. I know we gave you that split. I literally maybe would just walk. You can go to the gym still. You can still go to Planet Fitness, walk on the treadmill for 45 minutes. I wouldn't even go zone 2. I wouldn't even go that high. In your case, keep your heart rate like under 130, 125, 130. On the treadmill 45 minutes. That's all I would probably do. And then on the day you do eat with the alternate day fasting, then do that circuit, do your resistance training. That's what I would do. Like even on the days when I'm doing this, like when I fasted for 3 days in a row, which I don't know when I'll be doing that again. I just walked every day, But I can work out pretty hard in a fasted state, but when I'm doing these 18-6, 16-8, because I've just been doing it forever. But another thing, Chris, I know you do those essential aminos. So Chris also takes, and I know some other people in the group take those essential amino acids. Essential amino acids are the 9 amino acids that your body can't produce on its own, that it has to get through its diet, which is really good for putting on and maintaining muscle mass. The cool thing about an essential amino acid supplement is that it has almost no calories. It's very similar to doing a scoop of whey protein, which has all those non-essential amino acids, but whey protein will probably be 120 calories for 25 grams of protein. Those essential aminos are only going to be like 10, 15 calories for the same amount of amino acids that would be in a scoop of whey protein. So that's another thing you can do, Chris. Like you could do the scoop of essential aminos and possibly do some resistance training with it. But I probably would rather see you just do your aerobics on the alternate day fasting day. But make sure you're really eating good nutrition within that 12-hour eating window. Really hit the protein. I would go, eat 150 grams of protein, if not more, every other day. And then, if you're going to do the more modified version of alternate day fasting, really prioritize protein there too. You can do the essential aminos. You can do the, a scoop of whey protein. Eat some eggs. I mean, take some fiber in too. Keep the calories down. But if you're going to do it strict, then you're not taking any calories. Then I would do the essential aminos, though. I would do that. Okay. Let's see what 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝙃 says. Okay. So what cut of steak do you eat? I eat ribeyes. I love them too. 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝙃, I literally, I'm one of these guys, and I don't know, maybe a little kind of old schoolish. I literally like to go to the supermarket like every single day. And my two favorite ones are, I go to I have this Italian grocery, and they're all through Westchester. It's these like two brothers. They're Italian guys. I really love, I like them. I like everyone who works in these stores. The downside is that it's really expensive, but everything they have in that, if you go to the produce section, you don't even have to look. You want an apple, you grab an apple. I mean, every apple's perfect. Every avocado is actually in great shape. It's really incredible. So I'm very price conscious. I'll go to the steak section. I'm not going to spend a fortune I'm not going to spend $25 on a steak. I just eyeball it, and I don't go heavy marble. Like if I look at a steak, it's funny, when my father was a kid, he was 18 years old. He was like working in Hunts Point in the Bronx as a butcher. They were cutting meat, so he's really good at picking meat. He only did that for a year or two, but he's great at picking meats. I just go with whatever's lean that's not too expensive. Or if something's on sale, every now and then I may really treat myself. Like I love 𝘾𝙼𝘾𝙃, even though it's expensive. If it's on sale, because it's lean, I just go with leaner cuts. That's why I love the buffalo bison. Because when I make the buffalo, you may have seen me make it in the video, it is so lean. You like barely any oil comes out. But every now and then, if I don't want, because it's somewhat expensive, it could be like $9, $10 a pound. I generally use 3 pounds. That pot of chili could be $40, $50 for me to make. So every now and then, I don't want to spend the money. If there's grass-fed, grass-finished beef that's like 90% lean on sale, I may buy that. But even that, with 90% lean, creates so much more oil, so much more fat than the bison. So what I do, and you may have seen it in the video, after I cook the chopped meat, I put it in like a strainer, and I let it sit there for like a half hour, and I try to drain all the fat out of it as much as I can. I've even taken a paper towel and like kind of squeezed it just to get it all out, because I want to keep the calories down. And I'm not a believer. Some people don't respond well to saturated fat. If you have that genotype, that snippet, the APO, you can really get, your cholesterol can get out of whack with too much saturated fat. I don't really run away from it, but I keep an eye on it. Most of my fats come from monounsaturated fats, which I think are the healthiest fats to have. Let's let Chris. Sirloin is Chris's favorite. I love ribeye, I love sirloin, I love them all, and I really do. Let's see what Jeff's got to say. Okay. I'm trying to get back down to 200 pounds by my birthday, which is August 6th. I've lost 6.7 pounds since January 1. That's good, Jeff. That's great. So I have 35 to go. Doing calorie cycling, but not quite as aggressive. More like 1,600 calories one day, 2,200 the next. I think that's great. If you're 200 pounds, when you go to 16, my general rule is multiply your body weight by 10. As like a pretty good calorie deficit. You can even go 11. I wouldn't go much below 10 though. So for example, if Jeff is 200 pounds, he multiplies 200 by 10, that's 2,000 calories a day, right? Maintenance calories as a general rule will be 15 times your weight. So I would probably put Jeff at maintenance around 3,000, 2,800, and put him at a deficit at about 2,000 calories. So the fact that he's doing one day at 1,600, that's an aggressive deficit, which is great. And then 22, he probably still is in a deficit, but it's pretty manageable, 2,200 calories. I think you're doing great, Jeff. Plus, I know you were talking about that tennis. Jeff is like an avid tennis player, so he plays all the time, and I think he's kicking into tennis season. So you're also going to be burning a lot of calories with the tennis and all that. So I think that's a good plan for you. Just obviously follow this normal eating thing in that. Keep your protein up, keep your fiber up. You want to eat, chicken, fish, meat, fruits, and vegetables. I mean, that's the whole diet. I'm more of a low carb guy because I just think all your empty calories are coming from your breads, your pasta. Some pasta could be okay. It depends. Your rice. Even potatoes are high in potassium. Now and then sweet potato is okay. But I try to eliminate empty calories, obviously from the junk food, the cookies, the cakes, the garbage. We all know what the garbage is. And the trigger foods, right? Like me, I talk about this all the time. I cannot keep potato chips in my house because I'm going to eat the whole bag of potato chips. That's a trigger food for me. So I always recommend everybody write down your trigger foods. Get them out of the house. Tell your family and friends don't bring them over because you don't want to eat them. Even dark chocolate, sometimes I can overdo it. That's why, like I'm saying, I like the shelled nuts. How many shelled nuts can you eat, right? You get sick of cracking them after a while. Even dark chocolate, though, I've even switched to buying the smaller bars, the little bars. Because if I buy the big bar, I can eat half a bar like this. Like 2 lines at 190 calories. I want 1 line. I'll take 80, 90 calories, and I love it. Hey, Darlene, how you doing? I think Darlene's from the Intermittent Fasting group, right? At the Time Restricted Eating group. Thanks for showing up. Hey, Jeff. Can we do it together? I need to load. I'm assuming it means lose 40 pounds by my birthday. I would love that. It's interesting. I always wanted to do this. I have to figure out how to set it up. I was thinking about doing something like this, like maybe doing a challenge in the Time Restricted Eating group, but even at the 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝙃 Facebook group where, we map out like a plan like this. We pick a date where everyone wants to start, and then we see how everyone does over like a 6-week period. If you're interested in that, let me know. Leave a comment. You can leave a comment in Time Restricted Eating. You leave a comment here. But I can set something like that up if anyone's kind of interested. It would kind of be a fun thing to do. And we have to know, like, should it be aggressive? Should it be more like maybe Mary's new? Should it be more like a 16-8? Like my favorite diet. 16, 8, 2 meals a day plus a protein shake. I love that. I would love to do a challenge like that to get everyone on page to follow a program like that. They would do great. But let's just review once again. What is like reasonable normal eating? Taking an adequate amount of protein, right? 0.7 times your body weight, right? Eating fiber. I think fiber is key. That's the only reason why I'm not as a big of a fan of like the carnivore type diet, even though I think it's a good elimination diet and it is a great way to, reduce calories and all that. But I think you need fiber. There's so many studies that show that fiber is very satisfying. You eat fiber, it's good for your gut health, good to keep you regular and all that. Okay, this is Debbie. I really love to do that in the Facebook. That sounds good. No, I would love to do it. I'll see if I can set it. Like I know other people do it. I've seen other people do it. I'm not sure like the technology of how to do it, but I'm sure I can. I'll figure it out if everyone's interested in that. That would be a lot of really fun thing to do. Okay, this is Jeff. I eat dark chocolate almonds, but I put the actual serving size on my plate, so I'm not tempted to keep eating from the package. Good move, because that's pretty caloric. Dark chocolate almonds. So I'm glad you're on top of that. I did a video on this many years ago, talking about plate size. There's actually studies done showing on plate size can affect how many calories people eat. And I know me and my wife, but we're really good because we've been doing this fasting for 10, 12 years. But my wife has these beautiful, you see them in a lot of my pictures, those big Italian Deruta-like plates. They are tremendous. That's sometimes like I'll put a meal and I'll take a picture of it and people think, Mike, there's no calories. Meanwhile, they don't realize that the piece of salmon was 12 ounces that I put on there. And the broccoli and the stewed tomatoes are like a whole pot of it. It just looks like nothing on these big plates. So research has shown, and I totally agree with this, that literally having smaller plates will make you eat less. No question about it. You're just going to put less on the plate. All things. So the fact that Jeff is actually measuring out, how many almonds he's having, and he's done, I think is a great idea. That's why with me, with the trigger foods, I don't want to buy a big bar of that dark chocolate because I'm going to eat half the bar I want the smaller one, even though it costs more. I used to do like kind of kooky things years ago where I would, I would buy a chocolate bar and I break it up into 3 sections, wrap it up and say, this is my section for today, but I don't have the time for that anymore. I'll spend a little bit more money and buy the smaller bars, which is kind of cool. I'm totally down for a challenge. That sounds good. Yeah, I'll work on setting that up. That'll be a lot of fun. Because this is, kind of coming up, in my mind, this is always like the busy season. People are still, I think the holidays, people gain weight. Like the average person gains 10 pounds from Thanksgiving to like New Year, something crazy like that. But this is still, I think, a time where people are not ready to get started yet, in that it's the heart of the winter. Everyone's inside, comfort eating. It's crazy cold out, for the Northeast, not obviously in Texas and different parts of the country. I always found that April 1st, people get really motivated. That's the busiest time of the year for the gym business. It's probably April 1st. Because people want to lose weight now for the warm weather coming up. April, May. People want to be thin by like June. People want to look great by like July 4th. Which is actually my wife's birthday, which is so cool. She's a July 4th gal, which is great. Well, let's see. Let's do a 21-day challenge. I would love that. That sounds great. Okay, I'm going to work on that. That's what Jean's got to say. Is BMI a good way to estimate ideal weight? Because for me, at 6'4", a BMI of 25 is 205 pounds. I look skinny at that weight. Yeah, I don't. BMI could be so confusing, and it's so even hard to determine what it is. I know people do these DEXA scans. I even had a client do a DEXA scan recently that I felt was so off. He's a guy, he's in such good shape. I'd literally been training him for over 15 years. He's such a fit, like muscular guy. Has a DEXA scan. They said he's like 32% body fat. He's obese. He's got abs. You can see the outline of his abs. There was no way, unless he has an insane amount of internal body fat, which I don't think he does, because he's such a healthy, like all his numbers are great. Yeah, I know, Gene. I wouldn't go too crazy with the BMI. And 205 at 6'4", that's like a, you'd be like a sprinter, you know what I mean? You'll be like, what's like 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃. That could be way too lean for you, 205 at 6'4". I think that's really lean. 225, 230, 205 I think would be too lean. Unless you're like small frame, which I'm sure you're not. Let's see. Michelle, a vegetarian. Yeah, vegetarian. Actually, my brother's a vegetarian. He's been a vegetarian for like 8-9 years now. My best friend, who I love, Bill, who hired me in 1984 from one of my favorite jobs I've owned. We ran this gym together. He's a vegetarian. One of my favorite clients is a vegan, which actually limits more. The only thing I would say about vegetarian is that I always think about that protein leverage hypothesis. Okay, and I talked about this before. I think there were two researchers from Australia came up with this hypothesis, and I totally agree with it. That's saying that people will keep on eating until they reach their protein requirements for the day. So let's say you're a 120-pound gal. Unless you really believe in just like that, really, a lot of vegetarians, vegans believe in like a low protein diet because of they're concerned about mTOR, like growth signaling is going to make bad things grow. They want to really minimize protein. But, I do think you're going to be healthier. You're going to have better muscle mass. You're going to do better long-term for your bones, your skin, your hair if you take in a higher protein diet. And the protein leverage hypothesis says that you're going to keep eating until you reach your protein requirement. The problem is a lot of vegetarians and vegans, if you're picking foods that are just lower in protein, you have to consume so many calories to say get to 100 grams of protein, to get to 80 grams of protein, that I find that vegetarians can have a tough time. So I do recommend, like anyone who comes to my gym who's a vegetarian or vegan, I just want them to supplement their diet with powders. Like Garden of Life has it's my favorite protein, plant-based protein powder. I think it's pea, brown rice, hemp seed, has beans in it. I love that. Even just hemp seed protein powder. One of my clients buys Naked, which is a very affordable brand, pea protein powder. And I would supplement your diet with a couple of scoops. I know Garden of Life, 2 scoops, I think it's 180 calories, you get 30 grams of protein. I just would do that. And you can follow all these concepts. I think vegetarian eating is great. Wonderful. There were times when I've done it. I've never done it long term, but I've gone like, just let me do it. I've gone vegetarian for like 2-3 weeks just to check it out. And I find that I was hungry on the vegetarian diet, but kind of cool. Let's see. Hey, Chad. Hey, thanks for showing up, Chad. I appreciate it. Hey, Mike. What's the best fasting strategy to lower and maintain a healthy blood pressure? Really interesting. I personally think any of these strategies can help. There's an interesting one because I did a live stream maybe a year or two ago on alternate day fasting, that really aggressive one I was talking about. And that was one of the things that came up. There was dramatic improvements in blood pressure. But the thing is, truthfully, whenever you lose weight, that's a big indicator. That's going to help lower blood pressure. So calorie restriction, intermittent fasting, all going to help blood pressure. A lot of people do feel that low carbohydrate diets like intermittent fasting that increases your insulin sensitivity is really going to help control blood pressure. There were some other things you can do, I think, too, like natural things. Like I think we talked about this with Chris, like hibiscus tea, flax seeds, good for blood pressure. Just being in good shape and exercising. I think all these strategies can really help with blood pressure. But my numbers, I'm not a doctor, so I'll be really clear about that. My goal for people with high blood pressure is just to be below 140/90. But I think all of these strategies can really help. But alternate day fasting, I've had some real studies that really have showed that really can like turn it around really quickly. Okay, here's Deborah. Hey, Mike, have you ever tried 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝙃 protein bars? I don't think I did. Very low sugar. Wondering what you think of the ingredients in those bars. I've never tried it, but after this I will look up. But I think I've mentioned it before. There are 2 ones I like the best, just personally. And this will be good for Michelle. I love the no cow protein bar. No cow protein. It's a no cow meaning no dairy. It's a vegan bar. I think it's brown rice and pea protein, so it is a complete protein. Has all the non-essential amino acids. I love the chocolate one. Why I like it so much is that it's 210 calories. You get 21 grams of protein, but you also get 16 grams of fiber. That's why I like it so much. The total carbs are about 25, 26 grams. See, it's in my head so well because I talk about them so much. So the net and the net carb is like 4 or 5 grams of net carbs. They also minus the sugar alcohols. You're allowed to do that on these protein bars. So when you look at the back, it'll say like 3 or 4 net grams of carbs. So it's like almost no sugar, super high in fiber. I think everyone should eat 35 grams of fiber or more a day, and you get 25 grams of vegan protein. So I love the no-cow bar. Some people find them a little chalky. I don't. I look forward to eating one. I have them all the time. Like, cause my diet is that 2MAD plus a protein shake or a bar. Sometimes I do a bar. And I know Gene is into this. Gene's into those Quest bars. I love the Quest bars too. because it has a very similar profile. A Quest bar will be less calories, it'll be about 180 calories. It's a whey protein, so it's, it's a dairy, so it's not for vegetarian or vegans. Right? Or maybe it's not for vegans, maybe vegetarians. But it also had 14, 15 grams of fiber, same thing. So it's a low net carb bar. So I like the Quest and I like the No Cow. No, Michelle, no, thanks for showing up. That's cool. Let's see what Gwen's got to say. Okay, the normal eating is the hard part for me. I know it's probably the hardest part for most people. I'm trying to follow your advice to eat eggs my first meal. That sounds good. I always think like your first and your last meal of the day, you have to prioritize protein. You should prioritize protein all the time. But when you're fasting, you're rebuilding, and then you need the protein. But even if you weren't as strict as this, Gwen, when it comes to normal eating, if you still use these strategies, you're still going to be in a calorie deficit. But do the best you can. Right? Let's see what Jean's got to say. Okay. I'm aiming at 210 pounds for maintenance weight. Whoa, that would be nice. I'd love to see you down there, Jean. Which means I'm about 40 pounds away. Seems like a realistic goal to reach. That sounds good. You'll be lean. You'll be like a wide receiver at 6'4", 210. You'll be like lightning. That would be great. Cool. Let's see, Deborah. Okay. I can't have too much fiber. Right, the colitis. Right there, Deborah. I remember that now. I can't have too much fiber. Have colitis. I can't tolerate sugar alcohols. I know that these bars almost all do. I can't eat those, but the Aloha bar are all natural, no sugar, alcohols, and low fiber. That sounds good. I will definitely check it out. See, I keep on forgetting that about you. That's definitely true. I know I've had other clients too have a really hard time with fiber with colitis and irritable bowel. It can go either way. That's the weird thing about fiber. It can help or it can hurt with that too. Okay, so let's go rush. Let's go quickly. Not quickly, but let's talk about the normal eating again. So you want to do it as healthy as possible because you can do alternate day fasting and 5-2 and all these things. And if you're going to binge eat and gorge yourself on sugar foods and eat like a gallon of ice cream in your like 12-hour eating window, this fasting stuff just might not work. It just may not. So you don't have to be like perfect, but try to eat obviously as healthy as you can, right? I just find intermittent fasting is just a great way to make sure you're eating less. But if you can also eat less and eat well, you're going to kill it. You're just going to do so well. So my style is, make sure you're getting an adequate amount of protein. Keep the fiber up. How you keep the fiber up is eating, salads. I love the arugula salad. It's my favorite microgreen, loaded with nitrates, which convert to nitric oxide, which increases blood flow. So good for you when you get older. And nitric oxide it's a naturally occurring molecule, but it goes down with age, vasodilates. Also with 𝘾𝙊, that's another great way to lower blood pressure, is to eat foods that are high in nitric oxide. See, I eat 100 grams of arugula every single day because 100 grams of arugula has about 400 milligrams of nitrates, which convert to nitric oxide, which helps vasodilate, which helps lower blood pressure. Also, L-citrulline is another it's a supplement you might want to take too. L-citrulline is like a non-essential amino acid, which helps the body make arginine, and arginine helps the body make nitric oxide. So I also take L-citrulline. You see these things in a lot of pre-workout shakes. Beet powder. I don't really drink beet juice because it's just too many calories, too sugary. But sometimes I'll do a scoop of ground beet powder with L-citrulline as my pre-workout drink, and it's also good. But high blood pressure runs in my family too, so I try to really keep an eye on it. And obviously, you want to eat the high fiber. You want tons of vegetables. Couple of fruits. Don't go crazy with the fruits. Go with the low sugar fruits like your berries, your blueberries, your blackberries, your raspberries, things like that. Even to whatever you want, but I prefer the low sugar fruits. Plus, I think the pigments are different colors. I also try to eat a variety of color when it comes to fruits and vegetables. I like to accent my salads. You'll see in the meal examples with some with small pieces of fruit, like just a few berries. You cut an orange in half. Full pieces of an orange and fruit, like things like that. That's how I like to do it. And obviously, even when you're doing these strategies, like I said, you don't want to binge eat. You want to minimize the processed foods as much as possible. And just a final note with this last slide, then we'll go to the meals. Just keep in mind, like I keep on saying, I really do think the easiest way to keep calories under control is with all these fasting strategies. As little as a 12-hour fast to a 24-hour fast and everything in between just makes you eat less, which is so good. Okay, so let's do it. This is like my Q&A. So we talked about this, right? This was my prior. This is an example just of a great meal. And actually, like I think your average avocado, medium-sized avocado, maybe 350, 340 calories, gives you 16, 17 grams of fiber, 25 grams of total fiber. So the net carbs is like 4 or 5 grams, which is amazing. Loaded with potassium, like 900 milligrams of potassium. The adequate intake of potassium is like 4,700 milligrams a day. So you really have to eat a lot of like vegetables and just healthy, food to get your potassium in. And I did 2 bowls. This was like an OMAD day for me. This is just perfect eating, in my opinion. Let's give you an example of another meal. Okay, I think this is, it's funny. My wife made this. She doesn't like flounder. I love flounder. So for her, this is not one of our favorite meals. We had this week. I just love it. And once again, this is that humongous Italian plate that I'm talking about. I think this is a pound of fish, 100 grams of protein. That's the other general rule. I know this doesn't pertain to Michelle, but every 4 ounces of chicken, fish, or meat is about 25 grams of protein. So we're talking 100 grams of protein, which is kind of a little bit over my limit. You see, like the research is leaning towards, if you go over 60 grams like every 3 hours, you probably won't use that protein for muscle hypertrophy, things like that. But you use the protein for other parts within your body, your skin, your hair, your nails, your bones, your connective tissue. So I think there is benefit to even going above 60. I read a couple studies comparing like the OMAD diet, where people would eat 80, 90, 100 grams of protein, the people who spread it out, and it seems like they did just as well. The people who did eat those high protein meals, even with just one meal. And this is an arugula salad. It doesn't look big, but if you really look at the plate, there's a tremendous amount. There must be 100 grams there. And we also have some shaved onions on top. Extra virgin olive oil. I always use that, even when making the fish, even my wife as well. And then we got balsamic vinegar. And I've talked about this in the past too, but I try to always either, if I don't put balsamic vinegar like on my afternoon salad, I'll always either take apple cider vinegar or use balsamic vinegar on the salad or on the vegetables or whatever, pretty much with both of my meals, because the vinegar has acidic acid in it, whether it's apple cider vinegar or when it's balsamic vinegar. And research has shown it helps control blood sugar post-meal. Some people feel that the better you control blood sugar for your lifetime has such an indicator of how long you're going to live. Besides your VO2 max, besides having muscle, besides whatever, controlling blood sugar is such a key long term. It's one of the big, I think it's going to get even more and more into the mainstream of how people look at like how well people are doing, is just really how well you can control blood sugar. And it's hard to like the mechanism of why the acidic acid. Some people feel it slows digestion, things like that. That's why some people feel just eating carbohydrates like after your protein and your fat may even be a good idea for controlling blood sugar as well too. Like for example, if you want to have a sweet potato with this, eat this meal, wait a half hour, have your sweet potato. There is that one study I read, and I got that from that PhD, Ben Bickman. He's a professor. He wrote that book, Why We Get Sick. And he mentioned in the book, I listened to the book on audio, he was saying, oh yeah, if you eat your carbs 45 minutes after a meal, it's going to help control blood sugar. And he referenced a study, and I found the study, but the study really wasn't on, it was food, but it was more like orange juice. Like they took people, and some people had orange juice, like a big glass of orange juice, like before a meal like this. And they compared it to a group of people who had first ate the meal, waited 45 minutes, then drank a big glass of orange juice. And the people who had the orange juice after the meal had a much better time at controlling blood sugar. Like didn't get as big of a blood sugar spike as opposed to the people before the meal. So the conclusion based on this study is that if you do want to eat like a high glycemic type carb, that's like carb that's going to spike blood sugar, maybe you should do it after you have your protein and after you have your your fibers type carbs and your fat. I did a video on it too. Actually, people like the video pretty well, but people criticize it a lot too. So, no, once again, just one study. Here's another example. This is another meal we had. See, we lean towards pescatarians. We eat most of our protein, even though we had that buffalo chili. We mostly eat fish. At my house, we eat tons of salmon, tons of like the flounder, tons of sardines, Arctic chard. I eat a lot of shrimp. I may even have shrimp in the next slide. I eat a lot of shellfish, shrimp. And this is like just I think this is both for me and my wife. I don't think this was just me. That's a tremendous piece of fish. It's hard to tell. Once again, humongous plate. I eat a lot of stewed tomatoes. I love stewed tomatoes with onions. It's great. And if you always notice, there's always 2 different colors when it comes to the vegetable. Like even that arugula salad, there's white onions and green arugula. So now we got red tomatoes, white onions. Now different vitamins, different minerals, different nutrients when you go with 2 different colors. So always mix up the colors when you're ever eating. That's why I love to throw like blueberries or oranges or something within a salad. But this is just perfect killer eating. Let's see what Deborah's got. No, right, we saw that comment. Okay, I think I got one more. Let me see. I think I got at least one more meal. Yeah, this is the shrimp salad I was telling you about. I love this. I made this. I even filmed a short video. I've been doing this, but I have to say, I've been filming these short videos. Like every time I eat lunch or dinner, I'm like filming a video. Sometimes it kind of ruins the meal a little bit. I'm filming all these short videos, but I love putting the videos out. So I don't think I released this video yet, but I did a short video talking about like how do you make like the ideal high protein, low net carb lunch. And here it is right here. This is just perfect. So this is about, once again, somewhat of a big bowl. I got maybe 10 ounces of wild-caught shrimp. It was actually on sale at the Chico's. They're talking about that supermarket. I didn't mention the other supermarket, which is Whole Foods. Whole Foods, people get on Whole Foods case because it's so expensive. But if you know how to shop Whole Foods, you can do well there because so many things are on sale. Like you can get 2 avocados for like $1.50 at Whole Foods a lot. If you look for the sales at Whole Foods, you can do really well. So this is like 10 ounces of that wild-caught shrimp. This is how I make it. I just put it in a frying pan, extra virgin olive oil. I like to put garlic powder. I even maybe pour a little white wine in there. You should make shrimp in 4 minutes, right? It's done so quick. It's great. Then the basic ingredient, once again, I think this was a combination of arugula and spinach, which I love. Once again, high in those nitrates. If you can see, hard to see, but I also cut up an orange, like a small orange. It's amazing how just little bits of fruit make a salad taste so good without increasing the carbs too much. That's just a small orange. You love it when you get that orange, on the fork, right? Then I also cut up an avocado because I eat at least 1 avocado every single day, for the potassium, for the fiber, like I said. Then I put on a little bit. I didn't put too much extra virgin olive oil this time because I used a good amount, probably a couple tablespoons when I sauteed the shrimp. And that's another thing I really recommend you do. You have to have measurers in your kitchen. You have to. You got to have like a tablespoon, half a tablespoon. Like whenever you're pouring olive oil, even though it's a healthy fat, high amount of saturated fat, you can't just pour that olive oil. You can pour 3-4 tablespoons. You can pour more olive oil in a salad like this, and 50% of your calories are going to come from the olive oil. I like to measure a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half. So the fact that I did that when it came to making the shrimp, I didn't want to also douse the salad without extra virgin olive oil because I didn't want the calories to get out of control. Let's see what Mayor's got to say. Okay, I'm going to try intermittent fasting. Okay, 16/8, low fat, low carb. Okay, my problem is I'm retired and I love to eat. I wake up. I like to eat when I wake up. 2 meals. Walking. No, why don't you do more of an early time restricted eating, Mary, which I think will be better too. Okay, early time restricted meaning that when you're doing 16/8. Typically, when people do 16/8, they like to skip breakfast. Then maybe they have their first meal at 12 o'clock, and then they stop eating in the evening, and that's more like late time restricted eating. But the new research has been showing that it's probably better for hunger because they say when you're taking calories earlier in the day, I did a couple of videos on this, your leptin is the hormone that tells your brain that you're full. It's released from fat cells. When people take in most of their calories later in the day, leptin levels are lower. So if you like to eat breakfast, it could be a really good thing. It could help, reduce hunger. Plus, other research has shown that taking in protein and calories earlier in the day is better for maintaining muscle mass, better for your circadian rhythm, your 24-hour internal clock that controls pretty much every process within the body. So the fact that you want to eat breakfast, I think it's a good thing. The fact that you're going to do low fat and low carb, to me though, could tell me that you might be a little too hungry. I don't know what your cholesterol is. There's maybe why you want to go low fat too. But if you go low carb, I wouldn't add fat to your meals. You want to use your extra virgin olive oil, but don't be afraid to eat an avocado unless you just hate them. Don't be afraid to eat salmon or sardines that are relatively high in fat. To do both, 16/8 low carb and low fat could be challenging. Try it, see how it goes. That's what bodybuilders do, stuff like that. And bodybuilders, the reason why everything works for bodybuilders is because they can torture themselves and they just, they're motivated because they want to look good on stage or physique athlete. They count calories, they eat a ton of protein, they can go low carb and low fat. And they don't care how they feel, they just want to look really great, So just be a little careful with that. Let's see. Hey, Chris, thanks again. Another super chat from Chris. I think we're up to like 15. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Okay. What programs do you, okay, this is from Chris. What programs do you offer? I hear you talking about some Facebook groups, but not sure how to join those. Thank you for doing these live. No, I just have, I think you follow me, Chris, on my 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂 Fitness page, which is like my gym page. But I post a lot of the same things there. But then about 3 years ago, I started this private Facebook group called Time Restricted Eating. When I first started the group, I tried to make it. This is when, it may even have been longer than 3 years ago. Maybe it was 5 years ago or something. This is when people like, I think, time restricted eating, even though I was doing it, I must have started maybe 12 years ago. And there weren't too many studies. There was a lot of animal studies like that. That famous study that Dr. 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂 did on rats that showed how incredible time restricted eating was for helping people reduce body fat on the rats. I mean, there was a tremendous amount of animal studies, some human studies, not too many. So people were really criticizing intermittent fasting and time restricted eating and all that. So I decided I'm going to start this group. And for the first year, all I pretty much did, like if you go to time restricted eating, it's a free group, Chris. If you want to join, check it out. I'll put a link and you can, I'll actually accept you like right away. I have to accept everyone. And I would just post studies every day. Like I must have posted 50, 60 studies maybe. But then people, I guess, got tired of reading the studies. Then I was doing more like writing articles and doing things like that. But in the last year and a half, I think even, I forget who was that? I forget who asked the question. I forget someone who's here today too in the group wanted to know if I only did YouTube videos. Now I kind of just made it much, much lighter. Like I wanted people, at one point people were like posting their meals for the day. Like what'd you eat today? And I was, when it came to intermittent fast, like how'd you break your fast? And that went on for like a year or so. But lately I just been using it to promote the YouTube channel. Maybe I'll write an article. I like to post the live streams there. But I can take that group in any direction people want. Like if you want to do a challenge or something like that, it's 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 a free group to join. There's maybe 400 or 500 people in there. I really should be probably more active with it to encourage people to help each other. But if people ask questions, I'll answer any question like that. Like the other programs I offer, I have my course, which is a low-carb intermittent fasting course that I have 40 videos. I made this course about a year and a half ago. The only thing about the course that I have to add one thing to it because at that time, the research wasn't saying that early time-restricted eating could possibly be better. Back then, it was kind of neutral, like it didn't really make a difference. But in the last year or so, there's been so many studies, not so many, but a few studies saying how early time-restricted eating. So I want to add a video to that course. But this course is really good. This is not for you, Chris, because I think you're too advanced for this. The course is great for someone who's just starting out. It would be like someone like Mary who like wants to ease into it. Like I take you through like a 4-week process. First only fasting for 12 hours for a few days, then going to 16-8, then going to 18-6, then trying a 20-hour fast. I mapped the whole thing out to you along with low-carb eating in 40 like short videos. And then at the end of the 30 days, you do a 24-hour fast. And then I want you to take a diet break, and you can keep on repeating the process. And then the other things I offer, I do a one-on-one, like an hour consult. But it's a little bit more than just the hour because before, it's somewhat expensive. It's $250 to do an hour online, like video call with me. But you first answer these 10 questions. So when we go on the call, I already have a good idea what you're all about. So hopefully you can get the most out of a call. Because I've done so many of these things with people, with experts and coaches, just to help me grow my YouTube channel and other things. And I find that most of the time when you do this 1 hour call with someone, they don't even know anything about you. They didn't put the time in to look at my YouTube channel, to do this or that. And I feel like half of the hour is just spent on them getting to know me, and then they start giving advice. When you do an hour consult with me, we're going to get right to it, right? And then the other thing, but it's really expensive because it's so time consuming to me. I have this 30-day, I would call it like a wellness or like body transformation program but I charge like $1,500 for it. I think I'm going to even raise it because it's so time consuming. What it is that, you answer those 10 questions. We do the first initial hour long call, and then we speak on a daily basis. I want you to send me your diet every single day. I like to analyze the diet every single day. Then I make my comments within an email. we jump on a video call at least once a week, maybe more than that. I give you a whole exercise routine with the exercise. I use True Coach, which is like one of these apps that like trainers use. They show you a whole exercise program in great detail. But you really have my undivided attention for the entire month, and the accountability. I can't even take on too many people. I only like to do maybe 2 or 3 a month, people like that, because it's so time consuming. But people love it. People love it, but it is expensive. And then I just have my gym, and that's how I would make most of my income, from the gym, pretty much. Let's see, the 𝘾𝙊𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂. Okay, I wouldn't have. Okay, this is 𝘾𝙊𝙃𝙃. I wouldn't have had a love of arugula if it weren't for you. Oh, I love it. Oh, thanks. I think it's like an Italian thing too, that you have to like that bitterness. If you don't like the bitterness, even Chad too, just go with spinach salad. I mean, that's also pretty high in nitrates. I like the microgreens that are high in nitrates, which increase the nitric oxide. Let's see what Gwen's got. Okay, we have a place called Salata. They make really good salads. You can tell them exactly what you. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I like when you can customize the salad. That's great. Oh, Levi Darling. Yeah, that was you, right? Who asked the question about do I only post YouTube videos? Yeah, I mean, if you really want to like go deep, if you want, I will start posting the studies again. Like that study that I just pulled up. That's what I would do. I did that for 2 years. Any new study that came out on intermittent fasting, time restricted eating, I would post it on in the group, and then and give a little comment on it. And then I typically would do like a YouTube video about the studies. I just found that people like the YouTube videos weren't doing great. Like, who wants me to talk about it, analyze a study? But I can't start going. I want people to be happy. So everyone in the group, let me know what you're looking for. If you want me to do a little bit more things like studies, and we'll do some challenges, it'll be a lot of fun. Okay. Cami, okay, hello. I've been doing intermittent fasting for a month, but the scale just remains. Okay, so you haven't lost any weight for a month. It fluctuates, but that's it. Okay, begin 18/6, then 24. Recently changed to alternate day fasting. I don't know what's going on with you, Cami. I mean, I think you should be doing better. I mean, I'm sure the scale's fluctuating because on a day when you do say a fast, you're probably depleting glycogen, like stored carbs in the muscle, so you're losing water weight. But then the next day, in your case, and you've been doing this a little bit, I think you're going to have to get to a point where you might not be able to just intermittent fast. You're going to have to take a look at everything. I would use MyFitnessPal, and for the next week, start tracking calories, protein, fats, and carbs. Just see where you're at. I mean, you might be eating more than you think on the days that you do eating, even though you're fasting. I don't know if you're doing any binging, this and that. Like I say, if you start eating 10 times your body weight, say you're 150 pounds, you start eating 1,500 calories in like a 16-8 within an 8-hour eating window, and you're taking an adequate amount of protein, you're eating good quality food, like a meal like I'm talking about right here, I can't see you not losing weight. And if you're not losing weight doing that, I mean, maybe something's going on with your thyroid. Maybe, you've been yo-yo dieting and your metabolism is slightly off. I mean, it could be something like that. But I always like to tell people, like to someone like yourself, first, start tracking everything. Protein, fats, carbs, calories. See where you are. And then move on from there. And you can even take a diet break. I tell some people to take 2 weeks off, eat somewhat normally, track your calories for a couple weeks, see where your average calories are for the day or for the week, and then start making adjustments. Because all you can do, unfortunately, is reduce calories, eat healthy. And then also, I don't know if you are, but I would love you to do some resistance training and do a little bit, like start walking and just, burning some calories and improving your health with exercise as well. But do that. Track everything. And I'm here every Sunday, 11:30. Come back next Sunday. Let me know where you're at calorie-wise and everything for the week. It would be great. It will work. If it doesn't work, then we have to look at your thyroid, maybe go to your doctor, get some. Not that there's anything really wrong with you, but some people can have an underactive thyroid that can possibly affect your metabolism, or maybe you're insulin resistant, maybe your hormones are all over the place. I mean, it's kind of hard to say. I think I will stick to alternate day fasting for a while and see if I progress. That sounds good, but track everything, Cami. Track it. See where you are. I mean, I know it's a little annoying to do it, but once in your life, you got to just track everything, just so you know. Like, I can look at a plate and I can kind of know how many calories I'm eating, how many grams of protein. Like, I know I got, 60, 70 grams of protein there. I know that avocado's 340 calories, right? I know I put in, every tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil is 136 calories. I know I got about 200 calories of extra virgin olive oil in there, right? The orange, I know it's 40 calories, that small orange. It's in my head. The arugula is almost free. There's almost no calories in arugula, right? Maybe there's not that many calories in this meal. Okay, let's see, Jeff. I wonder if I was reading that right on the website. 1,500 for 1 month. I will do that when I win the lottery. Yeah, Jeff, I know. I'd find it, but I have to say, most people do that. Most of the people do that. I even want to raise it. I think I'm going to raise it to like the 2,250, something like that. People who do that are pretty wealthy. I even have some confidentiality agreements with a number of people over the years, and I do have some really high-end, high-profile clients and really wealthy people. Since when you're in New York, I'm in Westchester, New York. It's very Wall Street finance based. So a lot of the clients I have are on CNBC. Of business guys and gals who work downtown, work in the city. They're finance people, and money's really not an issue. That's not the limiting factor in their lives. But they work incredibly hard, and some are in incredible shape, and some just need a lot of help. Because people are just human. Even though you may be super successful in business and finance and things like that, you can still be overweight and unhealthy. And sometimes you sacrifice wealth for health, right? I always like that saying, sacrificing wealth for health. You just put everything into work, and you just you wake up, you're 50 years old, you're 40 pounds overweight, your numbers are out of whack. Meanwhile, you got $100 million in the bank, So I do work with a lot of people like that, and it's rewarding too. I heard it takes a month to see change. It's really hard to say. I think you can see a change in a week if things fall into place. It's just hard to say. But start tracking. I think you said you would. Oh, what popped up there? Okay, thank you. Oh, no, great. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for showing up. Cool. 𝘾𝙊𝘼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉𝙂. Cammy, are you young? That's good. That's a good question, 𝘾𝙊𝙼𝘾𝙃𝙄𝙉. I'd be curious to know about that too. I'm young 50. Oh, that sounds great. All right. So once again, this is, I think, just like the perfect meal, right? High in fiber, high in protein, high in healthy fats, loaded with antioxidants, super tasty. And this is how you got to eat. It's just ideal. All right. Did I have one more? I don't think I had one more meal. Let me just see. Did we do more? That's the flounder. All right, so no, we did them all. All right, cool. All right, guys. Any other questions from anyone? How long are we on? An hour? Whoa, this went fast today. I like today. I don't know. I think today went pretty well. Kind of somewhat of an aggressive approach. But sometimes I feel like I don't want to keep on talking about the same things every week, and I know a lot of the same people show up. But I think we had a pretty good turnout today. And once again, talk my channel up to anyone who you think you might be interested. Let's see anything, leave some comments. Let me know maybe a topic for next week. I may just go review my basic core diet next week, which is going to be, my 2MAD with a protein shake, like a 16-day 2MAD protein shake, high five. I might do that, or I might do something else. I recorded, there were 3 videos that I'm going to be editing. One this week, and I did one, like I said. I'm going to talk about the celebrity without saying his name, who did something very similar to this. This is a celebrity who had to gain 25 pounds for a movie that I worked with years and years ago. But unfortunately, once he gained the weight, he could never lose it. He couldn't lose 25 pounds. And then finally, over the pandemic, I was so glad he got back to me. And I didn't see him in person because he knew he had the time. And I put him on something similar to what we talked about today, like this kind of an ultra-day fasting. And he finally lost the weight. So I did that video. Then my daughter called me from school. She's training for the... for a half marathon, which I'm really excited about. She's a great runner, though. She was the captain of the high school running team. My son too. He's collegiate. He's killing it, my son. And she wanted to train for this half marathon, and she wanted a resistance training routine to go along with it. So I did a video for her on what I wanted to do. I'm going to release that next week, and then I'm going to do I think I may do a short video every day if I can, just a 60-second or less video on my style of eating and all that, and even working out and stuff like that. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll see. Okay, Chris, the best investment you can make is in yourself. You're a great expert and so personal. Really like these things. Oh, thanks, Chris, and I appreciate the super chats, and I'm so happy for you. You've just done so incredibly well, Chris, really, the turnaround type 2 diabetes. Some doctors feel you cannot reverse type 2 diabetes. Chris did it in under 4 months with no exercise, purely with diet and lifestyle changes. He's killed it. He did so incredibly. Thanks, Deborah. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. I have another study you can do with my wife. Oh, you have that's right. I think you emailed me about that. It takes me. I have to say, Chris, to be honest with you, even though that went really quickly, it took me like 10 hours. I don't know why. It just took me so long to make those slides and everything. I will eventually do one for your wife. I may wait a few weeks, but I will eventually do it for you for sure. But if I can help her out in any other way, just by in a comment or something, you know, let me know for sure. Let's see. Carol Jean. Thanks, Cam. Oh, that's great. And okay, all right, guys, I'm gonna run. I really appreciate everyone showing up. I really enjoyed it today. You know, I'll see everybody next week, and you know, leave comments on my videos and all what type of stuff. I'll answer all your questions. Take care, everyone. Great to see you. Thanks.